So this is the vlog for March 27th. My sister's in town. I think I've got a big zit on my nose. That's super attractive. Um, by the way, anyone who's sort of young and you were told, don't worry, you'll stop getting acne after you're out of high school, they're just not telling you the truth. You'll get acne for much of your life. It all depends on how much oil your face gets. It has less to do with your diet. But you can end up with acne if you eat greasy stuff because that might splash little bits of oil into your face or other dirty, sort of how messy an eater you are, if you want to. I'm getting off topic. The reason I look so delighted in the thumbnail for this is because after playing for a couple of days, I finally have my first new ship in Elite Dangerous. It is a Cobra Mark III, the Do Everything ship. The Cobra Mark III is a fairly cheap ship. So let me step back for a second and say that Elite Dangerous is very clever, because one thing I remember back when I was playing Star Wars Galaxies, I think I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned that actually. Star Wars Galaxies had a whole spaceship expansion that wasn't very good, and part of the problem was the amount of money it took to get a decent ship compared to the one that you started off with, because everybody was given sort of a free one just so that they could get into space and do stuff. But the problem was upgrading the ship to anything worthwhile took a ton of money. Leo's hopped up here and he's being very cute now. Yeah, oh, look at you. Oh, you are so photogenic. Yeah. Oh, you're the cutest. Oh, look at you. Not looking at the camera at all. Okay, where was I? So, it had this problem that in order to go from your basic starter ship to anything worth using was going to take a massive investment. And in fact, a lot of people bemoaned the fact that it was often easier to upgrade your ship doing the activities that took place on the ground that were in the core starting game than it was to actually do the new space content added in the game. And Star Wars Galaxies had so many problems that years later, the whole game didn't even resemble what it was when it had those ships added to it. So that's worth noting. But Elite Dangerous does it differently. So you start with a Sidewinder, and you get infinite Sidewinders. If you die, you can always get a Sidewinder. If you die in a more expensive ship, or even a Sidewinder that's been kitted out with a bunch of gear, you have to pay an insurance cost or you will lose it completely. Now, the insurance cost is very slim. The insurance cost when I finally sold my Sidewinder was like 5,000 something. And you make 10,000 credits in the cheapest missions in the game. So all you need to do is do one of those missions and you're fine. You can insure everything that was on the Sidewinder when it got blowed up. The Cobra Mark III it has an insurance cost that I just bought. It has an insurance cost of something like 15,000. So it's only a little bit more expensive to insure. But here's the thing. If I hadn't saved up and gotten the Cobra Mark III, I wasn't SOL, because aside from that starting Sidewinder, there are a range of ships to fulfill different specific tasks that the player can get very early on in their career. As in, doing like 4 or 5 missions will earn you enough money to get a nice new ship. If you want to go full combat, you can spend about 40,000 and get a eagle. Eagle, it's a bird of prey. Very cool wing bits out on the side. Extra port for a weapon, so you're doing more damage just across the board. Very cool. The people that want to avoid combat, like me, would have the option to go with something that's simply called the Hauler, and it really is just a big sort of cargo truck in space. And that's good for carrying things. You can install cargo racks in it. You can install passenger cabins to actually fly people around if you so feel inclined. I tried that. I didn't like it very much. The VIPs that make you the most money also have the most demands when you're doing your flying, and I just didn't feel like dealing with that. So, What else? There's a sort of a betweener that does both combat and cargo, and it's called the Adder, and it looks little bit like a VW van in space. So not the most attractive ship, but it has impressive range for its size and especially for its price. So a lot of people use it as sort of a in betweener before they save up enough for something really more spectacular like the Cobra. The Cobra, to give you an idea again of price, the Eagle is about 40,000 credits. The Hauler is about 50,000 credits. The Adder is 87,000 credits, so that's a bit more pricey. Save up a little bit and a little bit more. The Cobra is 350,000 credits, and it is still one of the cheaper things in this game. At the very upper levels, you're looking at spending millions and millions, tens of millions of credits on a single ship, and then outfitting it can cost upward of $1 billion. Probably not $1 billion, but it gets pricey. And then, of course, you have to insure this thing, or you lose it the next time it blows up. And in a game that can technically be an MMO, that can come very suddenly, and that will make you very sad if that happens. I'm way off from being able to do anything like that. But I got my Cobra, and it is an impressive step up. It doesn't look too impressive. It's still sort of a flying shovel. But instead of the cockpit being at the very back and top, it's sort of set upward of the front bumper, whatever you want to call it, but not so far back that you just feel like you're sitting on the back of a horse. It feels more like it feels more like a wing than a shovel, which is, I think, a pretty impressive, a pretty important feeling to have. You know, you felt like you were flying something cheap in a Sidewinder, but the Cobra feels like it's more interesting. And yes, a lot of ships in this game are named after snakes. There's the Cobra, the Adder, the Sidewinder that I mentioned. There's the Viper, which is a fighter. There's the Asp, the Diamondback, Python, Anaconda are bigger ships. Most of these are made by the same manufacturer, but not all of them. So it's not even like one company is the snake company, and one company is the bird of prey company. It's sort of like that, but there's more than one snake company. No mammals. Oh no, that's not true. One company makes whales: the dolphin, the orca, and the beluga. I don't know if I'll get those. Those are passenger, focused ships. Anyway, well, I've gone for 5 minutes. It's almost 10 o'clock now. I've got to get this uploaded. But I really would like to fly around my Cobra just a little bit before I go to bed tonight. We'll see if that's in the cards. Anyway, this has been Eric Spornitz, and tomorrow will be better.